Welcome back. It is the Saturday edition of Sports Live. Still clad in my Proteas jersey, even though we aren't the T20 World Cup champions. But of course, coming so close, losing only by 7 runs to the Indian team. But now we chat all things basketball, where the Soweto Panthers, a South African basketball club, which is based in Soweto. Now, the team plays in the Basketball National League and was founded in 1986. And to tell us about the team and more is the coach Ronaldo Cortez, and all the way from America, and the captain Stelo Nzingwa. Good evening, gents. Welcome to Sports Live. I want us to chat a little bit about how you were introduced to this team, you know, when you actually started to work with the Soweto Panthers, just a little bit of your career, you know, and how you got into coaching basketball.
So in short, 1998, I met Albert McQuina, and he was the leader of the Soweto Panthers organization. I was a basketball player in the States, trying to get into the NBA. We met in New York at the NBA All-Star Game. Albert and David Stern, the former commissioner of the NBA, he's now passed, basically they gave me the opportunity. He said, well, look, you know, Ronaldo, if you play well, St. Vincent's in Cape Town, he's going to let us know, and you're going to get the opportunity to come back here and play in the NBA. You just don't make it to this level. We've been watching you since you were a kid.
And of course, you know, as the captain, to know that you are coached by a coach of this pedigree, you know, all the way from the USA, what does it bring into the team? How does it make you feel as a club?
Well, the United States is well known for its basketball accolades. So obviously, if you have somebody that comes from that environment, it's more of an improvement for us, for the sport, and the experience and the expertise that he brings as well is phenomenal.
No, absolutely. And you have been here, coach, for quite some time. Your analysis of the talent in the country, you know, are you finding that there is quite a number of people that are taking on to the sport? Are they talented enough? What can be done to actually improve the talent that we have in the country?
Well, I found that this season, I've just come back to South Africa for this season. My last season here was 2020. And of course, we know COVID. The talent level here is amazing. There are so many youth. I think maybe the number's around 14 million young people. So if you imagine just 1% of that number playing the game of basketball. Basketball is very infectious, so it explodes. In the 70s, I watched the game explode from the blacktop, the backyard, the one basketball hoop on the garage, all the way to the NBA that we know today. Because at that point, it was kind of the NBA and the ABA had just come into closure, and the NBA was now becoming successful. So the game is actually following the proper path. But where it's amazing in the diaspora, and South Africa in particular, is the basketball talent. The young people are hungry. And they actually have a different attitude versus the American attitude about the game. Unfortunately, America's game is mostly played through emotion, through pain, through trauma, having to deal with some of the racial and cultural challenges. Basketball is literally a way to get out. Here, once the young people understand that the game is not just playing, but it's a whole lifestyle, a whole transformative process, then they can understand the equity that they have and the equity that they can grow in. Basketball has huge potential here, and that's, you know, me being a part of the game as a player in 1998. I was unfortunate where I suffered a major injury where I literally flatlined on the court in Pietermaritzburg in a game, head-on collision with my teammate Billy Banda. So I was interrupted from playing the game. For me, there was no question whether I was going to be in the NBA or not. Most of these children growing up into young adults, they want to play in the NBA. Well, now the NBA is here. It was here in '98. But now it's here as an official entity, the BAL, the Michael Jordan brand, Sprite, the different unique sponsors. The Basketball Africa League is phenomenal. The BNL has been here from day one, but it was the PBL. So I've seen the transformation of the game. I've seen a lot of the unnecessary, how should we say, confusion and chaos that happens with people who necessarily have never played the game, and they have the power to make decisions for the game.
Because, you know, Coach, you speak about there is a lot of potential, but what is South Africa maybe then not doing right in developing this talent? You know, why aren't we seeing a number of players being exported to these, you know, international leagues where they should be playing and competing at the highest level?
I will say one reason is I was gone for too long.
Ooh, I like that.
And my journey through this game of basketball from the streets of Cleveland, Ohio, all the way to back here now, I bring a plethora of diverse experiences and great historical players that played the game. From everybody doing a basketball camp with Michael Jordan, from watching LeBron at the basketball court at 8 years old in Akron, Ohio, all the way up to the young people here. Potential these kids have is phenomenal. The adults often get in the way of the youth. They simply just want to have too much control. It's like a parent that overparents and forces their way. I want to coach my kid to be great. It's probably just better to be a parent, because if you don't understand what they're doing, you're going to get in the way of the process. So I find a lot of the adults here, people who are supposed to be the professionals, they act more like children and they fight. And me coming from my experience, I don't have an emotional capacity to accept, you know, why we can't solve a basic problem.
No,
You're in the way of progress.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Still, I want to come to you because we also saw what the Cape Town Tigers were able to do. You know, that phenomenal run, making history, reaching the semi-finals of the BL. How did that inspire you, you know, and as a team? And what do you think really they were just able to get right?
I mean, with the Cape Town Tigers, they're a fairly new team, but the work that they've been putting in obviously showed by them getting to the semi-finals. That's the first thing. And of course, it inspired us, players from South Africa, to see that it's possible. You know, the only thing that you need to do is just put in the work, put in the time, and the results will definitely show themselves.
All right. And then, Coach, I just want us to also chat about the first match against the Mpumalanga Rhinos, and then after that, it's the Limpopo Pride. Let's chat about that.
Okay. Well, basically, our first game was a great game for our young people. So when I talked about the youth, most of my team is made up of youth. I think it's important to start with the young people, because the older players, you know, they're pretty much at the peak. They're almost done. And at this stage of the game in South Africa, a lot of the older players, they still want to keep playing, but they're going to have to step up out of the way, because it's time for the young people to get their shot. Developing that talent is not easy, because a lot of these young people don't have the historical experience of learning the proper fundamentals of the game, but they're so talented that they're able to sponge learn, and now they're trying to emulate and showcase what they've seen with the proper techniques behind that. And I think that is a collaborative effort. I think with all of the organizations, all of the basketball programs in the country, netball is an amazing sport. I love it. Didn't really know what it was till I came here, but I love it. Basketball for women, I think, equitably needs to be a very big conversation now. We need to get behind the sport. And basketball training, fundamental training, character development training, community involvement and engagement, conflict and temperament resolutions, those things, psychological and mental health supports, those are all part of the game of basketball. And when you're a young person looking at the NBA and say, look, I want to make a lot of money playing basketball. You get $100 million, or you get $1 million, or you get 10,000 ZARs a month, and you've only learned how to handle 10 ZARs a month, you're going to put yourself in a situation where all those points that I mentioned are going to become opposition and adversary to your success. So we have to teach a holistic component to the game. In America, we didn't get that. All
right, we're running out of time. Quickly, what do you still want to achieve?
Personally, as a player, well, I've achieved quite a lot in the position that I'm in now. But definitely just to inspire the youth that are following behind us, like the coach said. We have a pretty young team, so right now I need to be a leader for that team.
Absolutely love that. Thank you so much for coming through. Soweto Panthers, of course, will be keen and keeping a keen eye on what is happening in the field of play, especially on the court when you look at the basketball